Okay, welcome back to our live channel stream. Today we are going to be looking at section 2 of Deborah Smith's textbook, specifically the section on chords, which is on pages number 26 and 27. So, I will bring that up onto the screen now. So, here we go. So, come on. Try again. Okay, everything's working now. So, section 2 of chords. So, up until now, we've done a little bit of work with chords, and specifically we've written a range of chords starting on C, major and minor chords. Today, we are going to now look at how we can write chords starting on other notes. So, before we do that, let's have a quick look at the major chord in detail. So, we're going to firstly look at the intervals within the notes of a triad. So, in this little diagram here, you can see that the major triad has been marked on here with the solfa name. So, a C major triad would have C, or Do, E as Mi, and G as So, and C as Do. So, there's the chord. I'll play that on the piano just to remind you. And is that you, Kalani? Have you just arrived? Is that you in the live chat? I'll mark the roll as being present if you say yes, it's me. There's our major triad. So we have, I'll mark this with the mouse, C, E, G, C. And the reason we've got that top C is because usually when we write chords in this subject, we double the root. In other words, we put the tonic note up an octave higher as well as the other notes. So, let's have a look at the individual intervals between these groups of notes. So let's have a look at C to E. Da, da, oh, when the saints, major third. And you can see that it's marked there as a major third in the book. Let's look at the next group of notes. So, E to G. Yep, so minor third. Let's have a look at the interval from G up to the high C. Australians, all let us rejoice. It's a fourth. So, let's look at some of the other intervals between C and G. Perfect fifth. And last but not least, we've got C up to C. So it's actually all those intervals interacting together at the same time that creates that harmonic sound signature in our minds of a major triad. Cool. Now to help us remember these intervals, there's a little song we can do. And it's right here. So here is a C major triad. There's all the notes in one block chord. And then let's have a bit of a sing together. I'll sing first and then you can join in on the second time through. So, Do, Mi, So, Do, Do, So, Mi, Do, major. Do, Mi, major third. Do, Mi, So, minor third. So, Do, perfect fourth. Do, So, perfect fifth. Do, Do, perfect octave. Let's try having a sing of that one together. So I'll play you the chord. Let's sing the arpeggio together. Do, Mi, So, Do, Do, So, Mi, Do, major. I'll just re-aim the mouse. And next bit. Do, Mi, major third. Mi, So, minor third. So, Do, perfect fourth. Do, So, perfect fifth. Do, is the major scale in quite a bit of detail, all the intervals contained within its notes. One last thing we're going to look at is where do major triads occur naturally in various keys. So what we've got here is in fact a C major scale, but with a few chords built on top of it. Those of you who did Year 10 music with me last year will recall looking at this as a part of our jazz improvisation unit when we studied the primary triads of C major to create the 12-bar blues. And in that study we actually did look at both the primary triads 1, 4 and 5, and then we also looked at the other chords as well. So when we're working in a major key like C major, if we build notes on the first, fourth and fifth note of that scale, those chords will all be major. Let's have a quick listen. I'll play you chord 1. Let's go up the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth note of the scale. And then if we go up one note higher to the fifth note of the scale, those three chords are major chords, and we've also referred to them in the past as the primary triads. Just a reminder from our Year 10 music, if you build a chord on Re, or the second note, it's minor. Build a chord on Mi, it's also minor. Build a chord on La, or 6, it's minor. And build a chord on the seventh note of the scale T, it's diminished. Now, if you weren't in Year 10 music last year, don't worry, I will go over that in more detail in a future lesson. But right now, we're just focusing on chords 1, 4 and 5 because they are major, and they are the chords that we are studying today. So, when we did chord writing last term, we learned that triads are essentially written in thirds. We're not going to worry about doubling the root note at the top today. We're just going to work the bottom three notes. They were thirds. In other words, to create a chord on any given note, it was either space, 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 or line, line, line. So, let's do the first chord down here. What I mean by that is, if that's a space note, and that one is a space note because it's not sitting on the line, we go space, 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 like that. So step one is write space, 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 or line, line, line. So I'm going to do that for this chord here, and I'm going to demonstrate this one here today. So you're going to be doing these remaining three for me today in outside of this lesson. So, whoops, and I've totally just lost our page now. Sorry about that. And here we are. So, I'm going to do this chord as well. Not having any luck today. Let's try this. And so there you go. You can see that I've gone line, line, line. And in fact, that was pretty dodgy. I'm going to try that one more time, just to get it accurate. Nope. I'm still getting used to this pen. There we go. So, space, 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 or line, line, line. Great. So what do we need to do next? Because we are writing a major triad, all the notes should belong to the major scale of the bottom note. Similar to our intervals where all perfect and major intervals, the top note fits with the scale of the bottom note. Well, for major triads, the other notes need to belong to the major scale of the root note or bottom note. So this next step is work out the key signature of the bottom note. And apply it to any present notes. I'll explain what that means in a minute. They're the only two steps we need to worry about for writing major triads. So let's have a look at this first chord here that we did. So what is that bottom note? It's a B flat. Do we all recall how to work out our flat keys? Let's have a quick look. So there's our order of sharps again. So flat note, flat key signatures, we start on the right hand side and we move across. What do? We go from right to left until we hit the name of the chord, the name of the note we're trying to work out the key for. So we're working out B flat, so let's keep on going. Oh, there's B. What do? We add one more E. So B flat major needs B flat and E flat in its key signature. So as always, I recommend you just pencil it in above the top of the question. So a B flat major triad based around the B major scale needs B flat and E flat if those notes are present. So let's work through the notes. That bottom note there is a B flat. Oh, it's already got its flat because it is the given note. The next note up is D. It's not in the key signature, so we can leave it, it's fine. The top note is F. F is not in the key signature either, so we can leave it. So therefore, we already have a B flat major chord or triad. Now, if you want to double the octave like we've done in the example questions above, it's just a case of adding in a B an octave higher. And in this case, because the bottom note B flat is B flat, the top B is B flat as well. And you've now written a full B flat major triad. We're going to attempt one more chord here, and then we'll do a couple more in the bass clef, and then I'll leave a few for you to do as well. So let's have a look at this one here, the line one. So we've done a question with a chord starting on a line. So I've written the notes above, line, line, line. That is step one. I'm going to bring that down a bit so you can see it more clearly. Hopefully I don't stuff everything out this time. That's better. Okay, so we've got those notes on the page. The next question we need to ask ourselves is, what is E flat major's key signature? So start from the right, move to the left because it's a flat key, because it has a flat in its name. So we go through until we hit the name of the key we're working at, E flat major, and then we add 1. So B flat major needs B flat, E flat, and A flat. So I like to write that above the question as always, B flat, E flat, and A flat. So final step is, once we've worked out the key signature of the bottom note, is apply it to the present notes. So are any of these notes present? Okay. The first note in the triad is given, it's E flat. Of course it's in the key signature because it's an E flat major chord. What is the next note up? The next note is G. Is G in the key signature? No, so we leave it. The top note, what is that? It's B. Is B in the key signature? Yes, it needs to be B flat. So we add in a flat just next to the B, like that. Cool. So I'm going to leave you to do 1, 2, 3 as a part of your work today after this video finishes. Let's do a couple of bass clef ones though to keep you in practice. So I'm going to leave that one for you to do. Let's have a look at this one here. So first things first, step 1, write either space times 3 or line times 3. In fact, the first one's given to you, it's really only 2 more. That's a line chord, so let's go line, line, line. That's better, neater than before. So we've got line, line, line. We've now got some sort of triad. Step 2, firstly, work out the key signature of the bottom note. What is that bottom note? We're in bass clef, so in case you've forgotten, the lines are good birds don't fly away. So that bottom note is D for don't. Let's quickly remind ourselves of what D major's key signature is. Because there's no flat in the name, we know it's a sharp key. So we'll start from the left and move right until we hit the name of the scale we're trying to work out. And that would be D. But in this case, we take away 2 for sharp. So get rid of that one, get rid of that one. We are left with F and C sharp. Again, let's pop that on there. And then the final part of step 2 was, it could have been step 3 in fact, but I've written it as step 2 today. That final part is apply the key signature. Are there any F's and C's here? Let's have a look. The bottom note's D, so we leave it because it was the given note anyhow. What's the next note? Good birds don't fly. F. Is F in the key signature? Yes, F sharp is the key signature. Whoops, and that wasn't a very good F, and I think I just made it worse, but that's fine now. So I put a sharp next to the F. And what's that top note? A. Is it in the key signature? No. So we can leave it. Great. I'm going to do one more question with you, and then I'll leave the remaining notes for you to do in your own time today. Let's do this last one because I feel like doing it. So it's a space note, so we're going to go space, space, space. Like so. Space, space, space. That bottom note is A, because the spaces in bass clef are all cows eat grass, so A. Let's quickly check. It's A. It's not a flat scale because there's no flat in the name, nor is it F major, the other one. So we start from the left-hand side and move to the right until we hit A. Then we take away 2, leaving us with F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. The final part of the step is, are any of these notes affected by the key signature? That bottom note's an A. That was the given note, so it naturally stays as it is. It goes without saying if it's an A major scale, it won't have an A sharp in the key signature. Let's look at the next note. C, because all cows eat grass. So that next space up is C. Is C affected by the key signature? Yes, it is, because there's a C sharp in this key signature. And finally, the top note. All cows eat. E. The top note is E. Any E's in the key signature? Nope. So we can leave it. And you have an A major chord. Now, if you have had any trouble understanding this, trouble thinking about this, how it works, please come back into the Zoom meeting after this video and ask further questions. It goes without saying, if you're watching this video later in the day outside of class time, there is no Zoom meeting to go back into, in case you're wondering. But if you're watching it during the lesson session, I will go back into Zoom afterwards. So we've got one more thing to look at because it relates directly to what we just learned, and that is also chord progressions. Now we did this in year 10 as well. This is where I played you a range of chords and you had to tell me the Roman numeral that I was playing. For example, we had chords 1, 4 and 5, and they're the chords we used in year 10. I just played a little sort of... Most of you would have heard I went 1, 4. We know that because I went up a fourth and then chord 5, up a step, down to 1. So this really is revision if you did year 10 music with me. Let us have a look at what's here. So, scrolling up a bit. So the triads build on the tonic, or note 1, subdominant, note 4, or dominant, note 5's. 5 notes of a scale are known as the primary triads. These are major triads as indicated by the capital Roman numerals. Again, revision from year 10. We even did learn these words. We learnt the words tonic, subdominant, and dominant. And I'm sure you'll all recall me saying, whilst there's nothing in the test in year 10 about these words, they are words that you must know ready for year 11. And here they are. So, here are those chords 1, 4, and 5. Let's have a quick sing of those chords now as a class. Here it is in solfa. We obviously can't sing the triads. If we were actually in class, in person, I'd get you all to break up and take a note of the chord when we're singing, but we can't do that today, so just sing the bottom note. I'll demonstrate first. So this was do, mi, so, mi, do, chord 1. Fa, la, do, la, fa, chord 4. So, ti, re, ti, so. Please sing along with me on this occasion. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do, mi, so, mi, do, 1. Fa, la, do, la, fa, 4. So, ti, re, ti, so, 5. Excellent. Cool. We're going to do a little chord task now that helps us revise the primary triads in the keys we learned them last year as well. So, follow along with me. So, let's have a look at this. Using a key signature, write the 3 primary triads of F major. Label them with Roman numerals. So, F major. What does F major need? We learned that F major is the scale that requires B flat. When we're doing it as a key signature, where do we pop it at the start? Because that's what a key signature means. It means the flat is at the start of the exercise, and it applies to all notes affected by the key signature in that music. So, what was it? F major was B flat. We're going to pop a B flat in there. So, remind me, what are primary triads? Primary triads are triads 1, 4, and 5. 1, 4, and 5. So, chord 1 is on the first note of the scale. So in F major, what is that first note? Goes without saying, if it's called F major, chord 1 must be on F. Okay, bear with me here. I'm not going to put the rest of the notes on yet. So, primary triads, 1, 4, and 5. So, chord 4 begins on the 4th note of the scale. So, this is where our interval work can come in handy. What's 4 notes higher than F, including F? 1, 2, 3, 4 on the line. I didn't really aim them very well with my pen there, but close enough. There it is. So we can see that is 1, 2, 3, 4 notes up, including F, a 4th higher. So chord 4 is on B flat. So chord 5 is 1 note higher, so it's on C. Because we've got a key signature, we don't need to add any flats to any of these notes at the moment, or at all. So, how do we make chords? That old saying, line on line, space, space, space. So we just add the notes on top. Not going to worry about doubling the root today. What was the final part of this question? Label them with Roman numerals. So, 1, and we do it uppercase to indicate it's major, 4, and 5. A reminder, Roman numerals, the I stands for 1, the V stands for 5. 4 is created by having a 1 prior to the 5, V, because 1 before 5 is 4. Okay, I'm going to get you to have a go at this one on your own, but I'll explain it to you. So, write the 3 primary triads belonging to the major key with the given key signature. Label them with Roman numerals. So let's have a look. What is that? That's 1 sharp, F sharp. I'm actually going to give it to you today. 1 sharp, F sharp is G major. So, your job will be to try and work out what the primary triads are. So it goes without saying, chord 1 will begin on the first note of G major, whatever that is. Chord 4 will begin on the 4th note of a G major scale. Again, whatever that note may be. I'm not going to tell you right now. You can work it out for yourselves. And then chord 5 will be based on the 5th note of the G major scale. You'll need to pop your Roman numerals in here, but the key signature is already given. Okay, today we're going to finish off a little listening. So, we are going to do some recognition questions. Recognition of a bass line. A chord progression using only the primary triads will be played several times. The given bass note of the first chord is the tonic. Now, Deborah Smith's actually asking you to write the solfa and letter names in, but I'm actually going to ask you to do something slightly different just for today. I would like you just to put the Roman numerals in. Let's keep it simple. So, chord 1 is 1. A reminder, the primary triads are 1, 4, and 5. When this question is played to you, you'll hear chords like this. One thing that's worth noting is that the lowest notes, the notes in my left hand, the bass notes, are always the name of the chord. So, 1, 4, that bass note will always be the root note, and then 5, like so. So if you listen for the bass note, you will be able to get this dictation entirely correct, even if you can't really distinguish all the other notes in the chords in the right hand. You will need to be able to do that later on for more complex questions. So right now, really, you only need to listen for the bass line, and then you will get the answer. Hence why these are called recognition of a bass line question, rather than a chord progression question. So, I'm going to play this first question to you a few times. So I will just need to. I realised I don't have the file ready to actually play this question. Give me a second. Sorry about this. So. Be with you in just a moment with the file ready for you. Sorry about this. Here we go. So, I'm going to play this question to you here. There we go. Hopefully you can all hear that sound quality. So there was the first chord, chord 1. So, listen out, see what pattern does this follow in terms of, does it go 1 to 4 to 5, or does it go 1, 5, 4 to 1, or so on. Whatever pattern you can hear, please write down what you think you hear. Here it is, first playing. So, maybe you already have a good idea about what you could hear. Maybe you don't at this stage, but you will after a few more playings. This time I'd like you to hum along with the question, humming the bass notes. I'll hum along too. And tell me, can you hear the bass notes as you go along? And do you hear any notes getting repeated? That's our first question to ask ourselves. Here we go. Don't know about you, but I heard that the first and the last chord were the same. So therefore, this chord here is the same as that one. It's chord 1. Okay, let's have a listen to it again. Hopefully you recognise that these chords were different. They weren't chord 1. They were different. There are only 2 options left, 4 and 5. I'm guessing most of you heard that they were different too, so it wasn't like a repeat of 4, 4 or 5, 5. So you now need to listen. Does it go 4 up to 5 or 5 down to 4? So you should be able to hear this by listening to the direction the notes move. Let's listen again, one more time. So, hopefully you heard da, da, da. The notes moved up by a step. So, 4 to 5. And so, at this stage, you have a correct answer. Eventually in the exams you'll need to actually name the chords by letter and the tonality, major or minor, once we've got to that stage of learning how to do chord progressions with major and minor and possibly diminished chords. But right now, I'm happy just to receive an answer like this with Roman numerals. So let's have a go at one more question. We're going to have a go at this one. So we're moving into F major. So instead of being C major, we're going to start in F major. And this will now be our new chord 1. Chord 1, and then chord 4, chord 5, and 1. We know chord 1 because it's the given chord in the question. We know that this is chord 4 because the bass note moves up a fourth, and then chord 5 is a step up. So, like before, but rather than using notes, solfa or letters, we're going to stick with Roman numerals just for today. And there is our chord 1. Chord 1. I'll now play you this question. Let's see if you can pick this one out now using your ears. So, here it is. I'll play it. Now immediately I'm hoping you're going, I think I heard the same chord quite a few times there. Yep, this was a bit of a trick question. Let's listen carefully. Let's hum along and see if we can work out which ones were the same. Da, 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 da. 3 of them were in fact the same. So, da, 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 da. Chords 2 and 4 were the same chord as chord 1. They were all chord 1. So the final question we need to ask ourselves is, what was chord 3? It was different, so it's either 4 or 5. The question, which one is it? Now, some of you might just hear it innately and go, oh yeah, I know what that is. But maybe you don't. And that's fine too. This is where you'll need to use your knowledge of intervals and work out what the gap between 1 to this chord is. If it goes up by a fourth, then it's chord 4. If it goes up by a fifth, it's chord 5. So let's have a listen again. Da ba ba ba. What is that interval? Some of you are thinking about a song that you heard just on Saturday. Da ba 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 da da. Or you're thinking of the song da ba 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 ba, which are both examples of songs we know that match up with the perfect fifth. To double check, the counting of the notes would be da da ba. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have gone up by a fifth, and therefore chord 3 was 5. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A lesson on chords and chord progressions. So what is your job to do in addition to your musictheory.net listening tasks? Please have a go at writing the Roman numerals of G major, not the Roman numerals, the primary triads of G major, including Roman numerals. So I've given you a hint there, we're in G major, so chords beginning on the 1st, 4th and 5th note of the G major scale. Along with that, following the instructions we learned earlier, if you could have a go at writing the triads above these given notes. A reminder, firstly, just build the triad, space, 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 or line, line, line. That gets you part way there. Work out the key signature of the bottom note. using this if necessary. And then if the notes in that triad are in the key signature, then apply those sharps or flats to those notes and you will have a major triad. Well, thank you for being a wonderful audience again. Sorry for a few technical errors that occurred along the way. Doing our best, as always. Now let's see how you can do your best too. Signing out, head back into Zoom for further instruction. Thank you.